Okay, lección 4. We're going to be talking about the verb ir, which means to go. It can also be used in a formula that we'll use a lot to talk about things that are going to happen in the future. Okay, tomorrow, next week, next month, whenever. So the verb ir, to go, it's conjugated irregularly. Yo voy, tú vas, él, ella or usted va, nosotros vamos, vosotros vais, ellos, ellas, and ustedes van. Voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. Make sure you memorize and learn that verb well, because we will use this verb a lot. Because like I said, we can use this verb to talk about the future, say things that are going to happen in the future. But first, let's just use ir as the verb, which means to go. So if we want to say, where are you going, we literally first are going to say, to where, a donde. To where are you going? A donde vas? Okay? A donde vas? So, if we had something like this, we would say, a donde vas? You would answer, because this is in the to form, a donde vas tú? Where are you going? We would answer in the yo form, which would be yo voy a la iglesia. Okay? Yo voy a la iglesia. Okay? We had el parque. Now notice that when we have el parque, we've talked about this previously. If we now say a donde vas, and you want to say voy a el parque, just like we've talked about when we have de and el together, whenever we have a and el together, and it doesn't have an accent mark on it, so it doesn't mean he, it means the. Whenever we have a and el together, that also is going to form the contraction al. So we would have voy al parque. Okay? Voy al parque. Or if we had this, which I'm not sure if you can see on the video well, this is a gymnasium. So, el gimnasio, we would say voy al, otra vez, contraction, again we have contraction, al, voy al gimnasio. Gimnasio. Okay? And here we have la piscina, voy a la piscina. ¿A dónde vas? Voy a la piscina. Okay? So that's how we're using just the verb ir, meaning to go. Alright, of course we could change who's doing these things. We could say vamos a la iglesia. We could say ellos van al gimnasio. Ustedes van al parque, etc. Okay? Now, to say that we're going to do something later, we're not doing it right now, we have a little formula in Spanish that we can use, which is to use ir plus a plus an infinitive. Now when I say ir, I mean a form of ir. So you can use a form of ir for whoever's doing it. Voy, vas, va, whoever's going to do something later. Plus an a, we always have an a in there. And then the next verb that you're going to do always stays in the infinitive. Now remember, the infinitive means that it's going to end in AR, ER, or IR. You aren't going to take that ending off. Okay? So, AR, ER, IR stays in that form. So we conjugate the form of ir, voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, or van, for whoever's going to do something, plus a, and then we leave that next verb, whatever it is, in the infinitive form. Okay? So, examples here. I am going to, you can't really see the book behind my menu here. I am going to, there's a book, I am going to read. I am going to read. So we have yo. We take the form of ir to go with I, which is voy. Yo voy. A, we have our a. Now we leave to read in the infinitive. So to read is leer. Yo voy a leer. I am going to read. So I'm not reading right now, but I'm going to later. Yo voy a leer. Alright? Muy bien. Now we can also say, we are going to ride a bike. Now since it's nosotros, the form of ir that we need is Vamos, we need our a, and now we need to ride a bike, and we leave that in the infinitive form. So, montar bicicleta. Voy a montar bicicleta. I'm going to ride a bike. Okay, we can put una in front of bicicleta if we want, or just montar bicicleta. Okay? And finally, Silvia y Mari are going to sunbathe. They're not doing it right now, but they're going to later, tomorrow, next week. Silvia y Mari, the correct form of ir is van. Ellas van a. Now we leave this in the infinitive. Tomar el sol. Ellas, Silvia y Mari, van a tomar el sol. Okay, so we can use ir to say that we're going places, or we can use ir to say that we're going to do something later. All right. Okay, now, also in lesson 4, we have verbs that are irregular only in the yo form. So they're regular in all other forms except la forma de yo, the yo form. Okay, so traer is one of those. So if I ask, ¿Qué traes a la clase? What are you bringing to class? ¿Qué traes a la clase? We would say, yo, and then the irregular yo form of traer is traigo. We have a number of verbs that are irregular in the yo form because they put in a G, which is nowhere in the infinitive. Traer is the infinitive. There's no G or anything in there, so in the yo form it goes to traigo, puts a G in there, it's totally irregular. So, yo traigo el lápiz. Is how you would answer that question. ¿Qué traes a la clase? Yo traigo el lápiz. Okay? Same thing here. ¿Qué traes a la clase? Yo traigo la computadora, or una computadora. Okay? Yo traigo la computadora. Now here's a good time to tell you that in the Spanish-speaking world, we have different vocabulary words for different things sometimes, for the same thing sometimes. So this is a good example to show that. In Latin America, South America, Central America, we use the word computadora, la computadora. Pero en España, but in Spain, we use the word el ordenador. El ordenador for computer. All right? Okay, muy bien. Now, so the yo form is irregular, traigo. What if I change the question, instead of saying ¿Qué traes a la clase? What if I said ¿Qué traen ustedes a la clase? ¿Qué traen ustedes a la clase? And here's what our answer is. So now, if the question is ¿Qué traen ustedes? Because I'm asking what do you all of you bring to the class? Now, because I've asked you plural, you need to answer with we bring. So, remember that traer is regular except for the yo form, so nosotros is a regular form. We just take off the ER and we still add hemos, traemos unos cuadernos. Nosotros traemos unos cuadernos. Okay? Or nosotros traemos una mochila. ¿Cuándo haces la tarea? Once again, we have a verb that is irregular in the yo form, but regular in every other form. So haces looks normal, looks regular. The to form adds an es. ¿Cuándo haces la tarea? Again, I answer with an irregular yo form. Yo hago. It puts a G in there again. Yo hago la tarea por la noche. I do homework at night. Yo hago la tarea por la noche, at night. Okay, but you see the tu form is regular, haces, the yo form is irregular, yo hago. And we just have to learn those. We have to put these irregular yo form verbs to memory. There's no rule or anything to think about. You just have to know that hacer, which means to do or to make, goes to hago, irregular in the yo form. Okay? Con quien salgas, once again, please disregard this. I'm sorry, that is a misprint. Con quien sales, with whom do you go out? With whom do you leave or go out? The verb is salir, to leave or to go out. The tu form is totally regular. Just take off the IR and add ES. Con quien sales? We would answer that with yo salgo. Yo salgo. Once again, it's irregular by adding a G in the yo form. Yo salgo con Carla, porque es mi esposa. I go out with her because she's my wife. Okay, yo salgo con Carla. Irregular yo form, regular in all the other forms. ¿Está bien? Donde pones la revista. Once again, poner is the verb, to put or to place. Notice you take off the ER and add regular endings in all the other forms. Again, this one is irregular in the yo form. So we would answer with, ¿Dónde pones la revista? Where do you put the magazine? Pongo. We add a G in the yo form, irregular again. Pongo la revista en la mesa. Okay? Pongo la revista en la mesa. ¿Sí está bien? Verbs that are irregular in the yo form, and you just have to learn what they are and what they do. Okay? Now, again, we'll take a picture, and I can just ask you, what are these people doing? You should be able to take any verb that is pictured here and say that those people are doing it. Okay? Not only now can you say that they are doing it right now by just putting the verb in the present tense, you can also say that they're going to do it later. Okay? By using a form of ir plus a plus infinitive. So, an example would be, this young lady is taking pictures right now. So, we would say, ella saca fotos. Okay, in the present tense. Ella saca fotos. She's taking pictures. Present tense of the verb, sacar. Okay, now, if I want to say she's going to take pictures, I would say ella va a sacar fotos. Okay? Va a sacar fotos. She's going to take pictures later. ¿Sí? ¿Está bien? Ellos caminan. They are walking right now. How would you say that they're going to walk later? Ellos van a caminar. Okay? Él monta en bicicleta. But later, if we're talking about tomorrow, él va a montar en bicicleta. Ellos leen el periódico. Leen remember I have the two E's with leer? Leen el periódico. Okay? But van a leer mañana. Leave that in the infinitive. They're going to read. Van a leer. Okay, so there's how we use verbs in the present tense and how we use a form of ir plus a plus the infinitive to say that you're going to do something the next day, next week, or later. Once again, we can do the same thing and practice with this picture. Say, la profesora enseña la clase. Or ella va a enseñar la clase. Okay? Los estudiantes escriben en los cuadernos. Or they're going to. Los estudiantes van a escribir en los cuadernos. They're going to write later. Okay? Once again, practicing your family members and possessive adjectives. If I am Ramon, then I would say mi abuelo es David. If I were talking about my cousin, I would say su tío es Juan Vargas. Su tío es Juan Vargas. Possessive adjective su tío es. Okay, we worked with those on the other night. And then we have dialogue questions that you should be practicing. So if you take a look at these, all of these are things that we have practiced or the book has covered in lessons 1 through 4. You should be able to ask and answer any one of these questions. So I'm going to leave it up here for a little bit. We'll go over a few. Okay, but on any one here, you should be able to look at it, ask the question in Spanish, and be able to provide the answer. So for example, what is your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? Or ¿Cómo se llama usted? Nice to meet you. Mucho gusto. Encantado. Igualmente. When is your birthday? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños? What day is today? ¿Qué día es hoy? What is your sister like? This is a one that we practiced probably in the book, but we didn't go over the other night. What is your sister like? When we say, what is she like? We just say, ¿cómo? Acento. ¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo es tu hermana? What is she like? And then you would answer with some of the adjectives that we've worked with. Alta, bonita, baja. Okay? ¿Cómo es? What is someone like? What are they like? What are their characteristics? What do you do on weekends? ¿Qué haces? What do you do? ¿Qué haces? Or, what do you like to do? So we have two different questions having to do with to do. What do you do? ¿Qué haces? What do you like to do? ¿Qué te gusta hacer? ¿Qué te gusta hacer? And then we have hacer in the infinitive. Okay? ¿Qué te gusta? And then we need to leave hacer in the infinitive because gusta is conjugated. ¿Qué te gusta hacer? What do you like to do? Okay? What do you do in your free time? Similar question, what do you do? ¿Qué haces en los tiempos libres? What are you going to do tomorrow? Okay, here's what we just worked with. What are you going to do? ¿Qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué vas a hacer? What are you going to do tomorrow? Mañana. ¿Qué vas a hacer mañana? How many hours do you sleep? ¿Cuántas horas duermes? Okay. Duermes. It's one of those verbs that changes in its stem from an O to a UE. Okay. All right. So there we have the lesson 4. You have your verbs and questions here that you should work with, be able to ask and answer those questions. And once again, if you have any questions about lesson 4, don't hesitate to email, ask, and we can also go over on our Thursday meeting. Okay?